Hi, everybody. I hope everyone's well and having a wonderful Saturday. I thought I'd come on and continue painting this insert for the fence. If you watched the last episode of this series, what I was working on was this igloo. First time ever painting an igloo. Very unsure, but I love how it come out. It looks very detailed. You know, it's just a simple piece, but I really like it. I did decide to go ahead and glue on snowflakes. So we're going to continue working on this. And what I think I'm going to work on today, start out with, is actually the banner for this. So for this insert, it has 4 different elements. 2 inserts. Well, for this interchangeable, excuse me. It has 2 inserts. It has a fence peeker, and then it has a banner. So, now for this banner, all I have is the wording burr, and we're going to put 2 snowflakes on the outside, paint some lettering, and I might even spatter this, but I will spatter it off, you know, I won't do it live, only because I don't want to get paint all over my iPad and phone and lighting, so I just prefer to do it at another time. So the color I'm going to paint this with is, I'm sticking with all blues and grays and whites. I'm going to continue to paint this with the Williamsburg blue. And then I think what I'll do for the lettering is I'll do a color called Winter Blue. And then probably just dry brush some white on it to give it a frosty look. And then I will go around and shade the outside of this banner, the pieces of the banner. I just think that adds another touch to it. I have had a busy morning. Cutting orders, getting it packaged, getting them to the post office. And then I just did a little bit of work on my new design. I'm working on that. I am working on another interchangeable design for my fence. Now I did not put any score lines on the 2 outside banner pieces. And the reason why I didn't do that is maybe you don't want to put a snowflake on there. I mean, a snowflake's going to come with the kit. It's part of the file. And there's all kinds of different sizes of snowflakes for you to choose from, you know, to put on your igloo and, you know, maybe on other pieces. You know, I have a snowflake on the hat of the penguin. And I'm going to probably put 1 or 2 on the sign. And we're going to be doing another penguin. So I'll be putting 1 on that hat as well. But I always like to give options. And so there's going to be all kinds of different sizes. And if I get this done today or first part of tomorrow, who knows, I might come back on tomorrow later on in the day and start on my new insert. And I'm pretty excited about that. It's going to be absolutely adorable. It's going to be very colorful, and I planned it that way. That's how I'm going to paint it. So I'm really anxious to get started on that as well. So if you're new to my page, if you go under my video section, every time I paint and I start a new design, I create a series. And I add episodes to my series. And they can be anywhere from 3 to, I think I even have one that has 7. So you can pretty much see me painting a particular design from start to finish. And I did that, that way people that buy DIY kits or even the SVG files, if they like the way I painted it, they have something to go back and reference. I always pretty much say what colors I'm using for base coating, shading, and highlighting. I try and give as much information as possible as to colors and techniques and what I'm doing. I absolutely love this blue. If you're into like a country looking blue, this is the blue for you. It's called Williamsburg blue, and it's a really pretty blue. It's kind of got a gray cast to it, somewhat, but it's a beautiful blue. I use it all the time, and I used it on my Let It Snow interchangeable sign insert, and absolutely loved how that came out. Good morning. So I think we got a pretty good base coat on there. So I'll let that dry, and then I am going to come back and do some shading. So we'll paint the letters a color called Winter Blue. And then like I said, I'm going to go back and I'll dry brush white on here just to make it look a little bit like frosted. And even this blue has like a gray cast to it. Sometimes it's kind of hard to see exactly the true colors of some of this paint when I'm painting. I notice that when I'm looking up at the monitor, sometimes it doesn't portray what it actually looks like in person. But that just kind of goes together if you see, and like I said, I am going to do some white on there. Oh, my bird is just talking up a storm already this morning. Calling the cat. Now, DecoArt recommends using a color called Pain Gray, and this is actually like a really dark navy blue. They have a highlighting and shading chart on their website, and they're pretty spot on, and I pretty much follow them to a T. Every now and again, I will stray from what they say, but honestly, they're spot on. And they also too have a color chart on their website that if you don't happen to have what they're recommending for shading and highlighting, you know, you can always look at their color chart, see what the color is that they're recommending, and, you know, maybe look at another color close to it. You don't have to do what they say. They put a lot of time and effort in picking their colors, and like I said, they're pretty spot on. So I pretty much, I go by what they're saying. I might get a wider flat brush. And I just like to go down one side and then go down the other, let it dry before I go back and do the top and bottom. And this is pretty messy for me because I hold my piece. I like holding my pieces and kind of looking at what I'm doing instead of trying to paint them as they lay flat on my table. I just feel I get a better view of things. We actually had temperatures in the 40s this week. It was a nice change from the cold weather we've been having. I mean, it's been a cold winter so far. And even though the sun is shining, we've had 40-degree weather. Winter is not over. Not by a long shot. Whoa, that's a lot of paint. But I'll go back and I'll put another coat because I do want them a little bit darker. If you happen to get a lot of paint that come off your brush like I did on that last one, just keep moving your brush and it moves the paint. And also it moves it down the surface, but also it does kind of lift it off the surface as well. That's why you always want to allow your layers to dry in between, because if you don't, you'll be lifting off the paint that you just put on. My water is a mess already. But because I'm going to dry brush, I think I can get away with it. But I will probably have to change it before I start on the next part because they're pretty much all light colors. I always try and keep my water as clean as possible, and I change it multiple times during my lives, only because, you know, I'm rinsing my brush off in there, but if the water's dark and black and whatever, and you're trying to use light colors, it can get on your bristles and you can end up with an undesirable color. So I just make it a habit to change my water frequently. Hello. Thanks for stopping in. And like at the bottom here where these tips are, I just kind of like swirl around, just move it around. I'm not looking to be precise on the shading. I'm just trying to get some color down there. And I will go back and probably do another layer. A lot of water on my brush. But anyone that's been watching me knows that just doesn't change. I kind of just, when I'm floating, I reload my brush constantly. I'm constantly rinsing it off and wiping it off and reloading it with paint and water. It's just, I think a habit I've kind of gotten into. Because you have to have a really good combination of paint and water to get really good floating. It takes practice. Even though I've been doing this for quite some time, you'll hear me say all the time, too much water. I just don't get the water out of my brush as good as I should. Alright, I think that's probably good enough. Get these fingers wiped off and we'll do some dry brushing. Alright. Now it's probably going to take several coats of this white paint. So I'm going to put it on lightly. I'm kind of going like a third down. From the top. I don't know if you can see that as well, but just see how it kind of gives like a little bit of a frosty look. I'm actually even just kind of patting, and what that's doing is creating a little texture as well. I don't care if like there's an area that has more white paint on it on the letter than another spot, because I'm just trying to, you know, like I said, make it look like frost. Just give it a frosty feel. To simulate, you know, oh, it's cold. And I think up here at these corners, I'm really gonna just put a lot of paint on there. Just to make it look a little bit wider. All right. And I already have my snowflakes painted. And I have some shimmer on them. Like I said, I'm going to do a little bit of splattering. I'm going to do that off camera. But this is what you're looking at for the banner. Part of me kind of wants to just like tap up in there just to do a little shimmer. I don't know. I could have simulated snow, but I might, you know what? It's not gonna hurt anything, so let's just try it. And don't be afraid to, you know, experiment. Because everything's fixable. If you do something you don't end up liking it, it's fixable. I think just to make it a little bit brighter, I'm just gonna float highlighting across the top of that. Just makes it a more solid white. I don't know if you can see that or not. But to me, it just makes it a little bit brighter up top. So, We will stick these aside because I'm not going to glue them yet. But that'll look nice because it's the same color as the hat, so that'll just bring that blue down. All right, so this is what we're going to work on. I know I'm going to do the sign and the post in like a light medium gray, just to get that gray color in there. So I think the color I'm going to use is sand gray. And a lot of times I do a wash on here, but I'm not going to do it this time around. I'm just going to paint it a solid color. And I will go back and I'll probably dry brush some white around the outside edges. Not worried about the score lines of the lettering because we're going to be gluing letters on. And that's just there for placement purposes only. I'll go back and give that another coat. And I'm just going to go around the outside edge of where I would glue the sign on. And the reason why I'm doing that is just because I have in case I have an oops moment and don't get that matched up perfectly when gluing, then maybe you won't be able to tell because this is painted gray. But I love this gray. I use it all the time. I use it for shading white a lot. And it's not the color they recommend. They recommend slate gray. But there's just something about this color. I don't know what it is. Slate gray is a little bit darker. I just feel that this blends better with white. And it's just, it's not as distinct as the slate gray. I'm not into bold highlighting and shading. That's just not me. I'm not saying it's incorrect. It's not what I like to do. My mindset for shading and highlighting is to create dimension, you know, to give a 3D look, because this is a flat piece of wood and I'm trying to create dimension and create layers. And that's what I use my highlighting and shading for. Now on those banners, when I shaded, that's not creating any dimension, but it's just adding color, a different color. And there's nothing wrong with that, but 9 times out of 10 when I'm shading and highlighting, it's to try and create dimension and give a 3D illusion of layers, an optical illusion of layers. That's how I approach it. Well, that was very, very bizarre. You know, that happened a couple weeks ago. I don't understand why, so apologize for that. Certainly not me. I think it might be the servers on Facebook, but it wasn't me. Very weird. Because I did not lose a connection. Huh. I know I've watched some lives recently and people have been struggling with, I don't know, not being able to get on, not seeing comments, which I don't see them anyhow because a lot of people seem to watch it after the fact, and that's fine by me. So, I don't know, just bizarre. I'm going to go back over the top of that. And I think the coloring I'm going to put on this for the letters is actually that Williamsburg blue, and then go back and dry brush white. And I'm going to do a little bit of shading with slate gray. And see the difference? I mean, the recommendation to shade white is with the slate gray, which is this right here. This is a sand gray. I just think it's a huge difference. It's too bold. Another, option you can do is if, you feel this is too light and this is too dark, is you can use this color here in the middle, which is called Gray Sky. And I have used that from time to time. So there's always options out there. So I'm just trying to create a little bit of a shadow. I might have to go back and darken it up, but I like to build my highlighting and shading. Then I'm just walking the float down just to make it a little bit wider. And I'll probably go over that a little bit more again, especially at the bottom. Because it just needs to be a little bit darker and wider down there. Alright, let's try a little bit of dry brushing. And you're not going to see this white all that much, but I just feel a little something compared to nothing is a better choice. Whoops. And then I have some snowflakes to glue on here as well. Just cleaning out this brush really good. You want to clean the brushes out. I mean, sometimes just dipping in water is not enough. Alright, so that's kind of where we are right at the moment. I am going to go empty my water because I need to start on painting stuff with white. I'll tell you what I can do. Let's see here. Let's see. Let me just use a sponge and then I'll go and empty my water, do whatever I can with the sponge, and then I'll go empty my water. Because I don't want to be sticking my brush into that dirty water. And I'm going to paint all the way down in here with white because that's going to be snow as well. I just know this white takes several coats. And I might do like I did on the igloo, because these are snowballs, and not worry about a great coat of paint. Because I am going to go back and do a little dry brushing and shading. So we'll see. And I'm not worried about getting outside the body here because I'm going to go back and paint it black. So not too worried about it. And I'm really not going to worry about the eyes. I'm going to paint those black. And we're going to be gluing on a beak. So I'm not going to worry about it. And if I get white paint in my score lines, I definitely want to take it out quickly. And I'm going to have to go back with a brush and tidy up and get closer. And I didn't get all the way over here. And I didn't redo my sticky board. Definitely gotta fix that before I start on my next project. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. I'm not on the camera, I apologize. All right, we'll let that dry. I'm going to empty my water, and I will be back, and we'll touch up right around, well, maybe I can get away with it, with this little bit of water. Maybe. That really doesn't matter anyhow because I'm going to be gluing a snowball on there. I just realized that. There's 3 snowballs that, same on this one. There's 3 snowballs that you're going to glue on top just to, you know, give it a little bit of some layers. I'm still going to do shading to try and create a little bit of dimension. I don't know how well it's going to work because you can't highlight white. So you'll be gluing a snowball on here, here, and here. And how you can kind of tell that is you can, you know, I just left that like that. So you know, it'll cover up this little spot here and this spot here and this spot here. So that's kind of why I did that like that. I mean, I guess something else I could do is maybe put an X. Like it scores like an X on those. That way you know. Maybe you can give me your opinions in the comments if you are watching this video after the fact and have a thought. Now look at that. mean, this scoring definitely bleed through. Not scoring, the char from the laser. I don't mask my pieces. I don't pre-paint them. I just don't do that because it's just a small piece. If I was doing an order, maybe a big order, I probably would do that. But yeah, I don't do that. I know people that do, I just don't. All right. Let me get that water emptied, like I said. And I will be back shortly. Okay. I'm going to dry brush some shading underneath these snowballs. I'm gonna use the sand gray. I mean, there's only so much you can do with the color white. And if I happen to get it where I don't want it, I'll just go back with the white paint and a brush. But I'm just gonna try and create a little bit of a shadow. And I don't want it to be really bright. So that's why I'm choosing to dry brush. Just to get a little bit of color. I'm definitely missing my marks. But it is kind of creating a little bit of separation, even though you have the score lines there to separate it. This just kind of adds some color to it. And I am going to go back and go over with some white. Then I am going to float a little shading on his face where his hat would go. Then I am going to go back and touch up. I know I want it to be a little bit darker than that, but alright, let's try and clean up some of these things. Where I just got a little bit over. going to take this white and just dry brush a little bit over some of these gray areas. Or just basically tap on it to calm them down a little bit. Like I said, I wanted this shading just to be just a little, very faint. But I do think I'm going to put some glitter on here, but you just put these snowballs on. And it just kind of adds like a different look. And part of me kind of wants to take this winter blue, and I'm going to. So we know this one goes like this. All right, let's see. See if I can get away with this brush. I don't know. Yep. Just to add a different color in. I mean, it's very, very light. And you can barely see it, but it's bringing in a different color. I don't know if you can see that or not. Like I said, there's only so much you can do to wait. And if I get too much, I'll just put some white back over it. But I'm really rubbing the paint out. Something you could do is mix some white with the blue and get like a lighter color. I'm just going to kind of like tap a little bit with the white. One, to calm it down. Two, to just give it a little bit of texture. I'm still wiping the paint off my brush, but not as intensely as I would if I was dry brushing. So that kind of just softens it a little bit. All right. But that's kind of where we are. There's some coloring, different coloring there. But that, like, you just can't do a whole lot with white. You just can't. You just can't do a whole lot with white. And I am gonna go and add some shimmer to this. And that'll kind of calm it down a little bit too. Whoa, that's too much. Oh, that's gonna leave some texture. I'm not worried about going down below because that's snow as well. So I'm just trying to get sparkle period. And you guys can't really see that in the camera, so. It's more of an in-person type of thing. That kind of calms down the shadowing a little bit too. I might have to take a break for a few hours because this stuff is sticky. And that way it can dry a little bit so I can continue painting. Otherwise, if it's like the other stuff, if I touch it with paint on my hands, it's going to transfer the paint onto the area. I mean, this is what dried on the bottle. So you definitely, if you're going to brush this on, you don't want to use a good brush. Because there's goop in there that it will ruin your brushes. So I just prefer to pat it on with a sponge. And then if I need to get into a certain area, I will use a really pretty brush. And I'm going to go out and go and dig these score lines out before they dry. Because there's definitely something to that stuff. All right. So this is kind of where we are so far. I'm going to paint these lettering here. Like I said, that blue. Got a couple snowflakes you can put on, which I'm going to doctor those up. I know this one goes on the hat, so since I've got it out, let's just add a little bit more. All right. So with that being said, I think I'm gonna call it quits for now. I may not come back on. Hard to say. But this is kind of where we are. I didn't get as far as what I wanted to, but that happens. But you can see the definition and the little bit of color in these snowballs. So they're not gonna look, it's not gonna look as boring. But, and then too, it's, when you hold it up like this and you can't see that, you can see something totally different. So it just gives a totally different look. So with that being said, thank you for joining me. And I may or may not see you later. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.